Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Pelion, South Carolina. And welcome back to where the magic happens. Here at wormwizardcastings, y'all, it's currently 74 degrees Fahrenheit on this manic Monday the Lord has blessed us with. And y'all, I got a couple worm orders to fill. So, I'm going to show everybody how I separate the worms from the bedding. I start out with I gotta get 1 pound of 1 pound of worms for one order and a quarter pound for another order. And so what I start out with is I go to a couple of my bins and I get me a big old pile. This is my hand for reference. So pretty big, pretty nice sized pile of castings. Let me see if I can get a look at it from the side a little bit here. Let me tilt the pan up a little bit so mortar tray so you can see what I'm talking about. So it's a pretty good pile of castings, and well, it's not just castings, it's bedding and worms and everything. This ain't finished castings, y'all. This is the bedding from the very top of the bin, because that's where the majority of the red wigglers live. They live in the top few inches. And so when I know I'm going to get a worm, when I know I got a worm order to fill the next day, I'll top feed right there around the corners of the bin where I know the worms are going to be, and I spray in a little bit of water with molasses mixed in with it. And I'll cover it with cardboard, and that'll entice them up near the surface, which they're already, like I say, they live in the top few inches of the bin anyways. But when I feed them and put that fresh moisture with that molasses in it down the night before, the next day I come out, and there's lots of them congregated near the top, eating and feeding, and it's nice and moist, because I laid that cardboard down and kept it nice and moist all night long. And y'all, they're easy to scoop up. They're all congregated in one spot. I scoop them up, I put them in a pile, and I let the sunlight do the rest. I sit here on my handy-dandy 5-gallon bucket I got, and I just pile up the bedding like this right here. And as you can see, you really can't see no worms right now. They all done dove down into the pile. But what I'll do is, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you can see a little better. What I'll do is I'll start by raking back layer by layer, raking back the bedding and pulling it off to the side, and then as I pull it off to the side and I reveal the worms, I'll stop and I'll let them dive down, and I'll take the castings and the bedding that I've collected and I'll scoop it off to the side, and I'll just keep repeating that process until what you end up with is nothing but bedding and tiny worms over on the side, and you'll end up with a concentrated pile of red wigglers down near the bottom. And I'm going to try to remember to bring y'all back in little by little as I do this process so you can see. But here, let me show you just how I start out. So you don't have to take back much, and you already start to see the worms. See? Let me zoom in a little bit. That'd be helpful if I zoomed in, right, y'all? Basically, you just do this number right here, and then you just gently push the bedding away, and the worms will be revealed, and they don't like that sunlight, y'all. So they'll be naturally trying to dive back down when you uncover them. The brighter the sun is, the faster they try to get away and dive down. Also, you can do, I don't have electricity out here in the shed. If you had electricity, you could hook up a bright spotlight or a few lamps and shine down on this pile, and that will make the process a little bit faster. All right, now, enough yapping and talking about it. Let me go ahead and I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to remove some bedding, and I'll bring you back in a little bit. All right, y'all hang tight. Hey, y'all. Thanks for hanging tight. I wanted to bring you back in and show you what progress I made after the first round. It doesn't look like much, and it's not, to be honest. It's not a whole lot. But this is what it looks like after the first pass over the pile of worms and bedding. The pile's diminished just slightly, and that is my the bedding that I've pushed off to the side that's devoid of worms, or at least devoid of large worms anyways. I went through it and picked out all the big worms that I could and put them back in the pile. And y'all, I'll repeat that process over and over, and I'll try to remember to keep bringing you back in so you can see my progress along the way. All right, well, hang tight, everybody. All right, y'all, I'm back again. I know, it don't look like much, but like I say, I'm going to try to bring you in each time I do a round of scraping back the castings and removing them to the side and picking out the worms. And I'm going to keep doing this over and over so you can see the progress I'm making. This is the second round. And now it looks like, if you zoom in, it looks like we're about ready to start on our third round. So I'm going to start scraping back the next layer of bedding. And yeah, I'll bring you back in a second so I can show you my progress. All right, y'all, well, hang tight. Hey, y'all, I'm back. Thanks for hanging in there and sticking around. All right, I think this is our third. Can't remember if it's our third round or not. You can count the segments and know for sure. But I've been bringing you back on every time I scrape some away, pick through the worms and scoot it to the side, I've been cutting and bringing y'all back in to show y'all my progress. And this is just to show you how long it takes. Now, I guess between each segment I'm doing, it probably takes me between 1 and 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. It's less than 5 minutes between segments, you know, when I'm not in filming mode. But yeah, this is me showing you how it's done. Now, again, I think this would be much quicker if the sun was out a lot brighter, or if I had some electricity in the shed and I had some lamps or some bright lights pointed down at this pile here. This will go a lot faster. But we're doing it the green way. We're using the sun. And today, it's not cloudy. I'm looking up in the sky right now, and there ain't not a cloud in the sky. But the problem is, as I get out here early in the morning, and the sun ain't come up over the tree line over there yet on my property, and so it's still kind of not too sunny and not too bright. So this is taking a little bit longer than it normally would, but I'm trying to beat the heat today, y'all. I ain't got time to be out here sweating up a storm all day in the heat and trying to have a heat stroke or something. So I'm doing it. This is how it is. This is how it is. All right, I know. Lots of rambling, lots of talking. It's Yap City, y'all. Population 1, if you didn't know. This is Yap City. All right, all right. I hope that's not too incoherent. And I'm going to cut it here, and I'll bring you back in after the next round. I hope you can see the progress I'm making. It's getting there. It's getting there. All right. Hang tight, everybody. Incrementally, little by little, y'all. I'm getting it. I'm coming along. As you can see, the next round is down. And the worms are making their way back down now. That little worm there on top is one of the ones I picked out the pile and threw back on top. Because as I pull these castings and bedding away from the pile, I drag them over to the left-hand side over here, and I kind of sort back through them to pick out any of the worms that I miss, and I place them on top of the pile over here. And then they dive down in there as you know, they see fit. But, yep, I know. I don't know how many takes this is going to take to get it down to nothing but worms. But y'all let me know in the comments. Y'all count how many segments it takes. And, yeah, we're going to try to not make this too long. But here we go. Next round coming right up. Hang tight, y'all. All right, y'all. Check it out. Look at the progress we're making. Another round down. Another layer of bedding and castings removed from the pile. And y'all, we're getting closer now. I'd say we're past the halfway point at this point. All right, just wanted to bring you in real quick. All right, I'm going to cut it here, and we'll bring you back when we make a little more progress. Hang tight, y'all. Hey, y'all. Thanks for hanging tight. I know this is taking forever. I know. Probably done lost half of y'all. But hey, we got the next round done. This is what we got left. And let me show you, now that we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of what's left of the worms and the castings and the bedding, let me zoom in here a little bit, and I'm going to try to show you what it looks like when I start to move this. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Let me see here. Can I zoom in a little more? Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see here. Watch this. Watch this when I start scraping this back. Look at there. Look how many worms is under there. Look at there, y'all. Look at there. Look at there. Look at there. Look at there. I like to see that. That means you're getting close to the end, y'all. Check it out. And this is what I'm talking about. You just scrape back the castings and the bedding a little at a time, and you end up with a pile of worms at the bottom like this right here. Because they're trying to get away from that UV light, y'all. They're trying to get back in the darkness. So they dive deep and cover themselves back up with these castings. And each time I just take a little bit away at a time. Let me zoom out so you can get a good picture of what's going on. And you just take a little bit away like this each time. And then you gather up what you scoop. This is how I do it. You gather up what you run off the top like this right here. And don't worry, you're going to get a few worms in there. Don't worry about that. You can go through that and pick them out here in a second. Now, you see how this looks, right? Now, these worms I'll push it back together like this right here. And they'll dive back down. And here, I'll bring it back in here in just a second after I go through this pile here and pick out the worms, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, y'all. Hang tight. All right, y'all. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Y'all check it out. It's looking like the worms are having a hard time hiding from the sun now because we're running out of bedding and castings for them to hide under. Check it out. Y'all see that? This is what I like. This is what I like to see, y'all. Check this out. Oh, yeah. Now, this might be the last time we scrape anything away. And there might still be a little bit of castings and bedding left over in the pile, but it won't be much. And when I weigh up the worms, I'll make sure to weigh them over a little bit so to account for any castings or any bedding left over with the worms. So we always weigh our packages over a little heavy to make sure the customer gets everything they're paying for. And look at there, y'all. Look at that pile of worms, y'all. Now, we only needed to harvest a pound of worms, well, 1.25 pounds, because we got one 1 pound order and we got a 1/4 pound order. Now, let's see here. I'm going to take these and put that off to the side. Now, you're going to get a few worms in it. Don't worry about that. If you spend all your time worrying about the few worms that you get in your hand in your pile there and you scrape away, then you're going to spend a lot of time doing that. You ain't got no, I don't know about y'all. I ain't got that kind of time. This already takes a pretty good while. So, if you, I got a pretty good pile of worms here, so I don't need to worry about all those worms there. All right. Now, look at there, y'all. Look at there. Now, that's a pile of worms, y'all. Check it out. I'm going to turn it over a couple times so you can see what it looks like. Here, watch this. Look at this. Look at this, y'all. Look at that. Look at this. I'm going to fold it over like some bread or something, like some kneading some dough. Check that out. Woo! I wish y'all could smell this. It smells wormy. But yeah, y'all, I think that's where we're going to stop. Because, yeah, there really ain't much castings or bedding left to scoop away. And like I say, I'm gonna weigh my packages a little over to account for that little bit of extra left in there. Now, if you see any black soldier fly larvae, this might be a good time to pick them out. I didn't see too many. I just saw one just then. But, heck, y'all, let me show you what I do now. All right, let me get over here. I can do this one-handed, everybody. Now, what I got here is an old Chinese bowl container from the Chinese restaurant in Pelion. That's the only Chinese restaurant we ever had in Pelion, and we ain't got but one. But anyways, we saved this, and I use this to scoop them up and weigh them. But before I do that, you got to come over to your handy-dandy scale. Make sure you turn it on good. All right. Now, we need a pound, so I'm going to put that up there, and I'm going to tear out that weight of that tray right there. So I teared that out. All right, and I get over here and we'll get us a pound of worms. Ooh, that feels so weird, y'all. Let's see how many worms I got there now. That might be more than a pound there, y'all. Let me get them off my fingers. All right, let's see here. What we got? Oh, that's close. Let me see if I can zoom in, y'all. Ooh, that's getting real close to a pound. I think that's real close. Let me get a few more. Put that right there. Oh yeah, that's over a pound now. That's a little bit too much over a pound. We want to get it to that one right there. Can we get it Can we get it to a pound and a tenth? That's pretty good. I tell you what, we're just gonna let this one be a little. There we go. That's what I want to see. Now, look at there. That's over. That's a pound of red wigglers, plus another tenth of a pound. So that's another ounce. That's an ounce over to account for that little bit of bedding and castings that we got in there. All right. So that's our 1 pound order. Let me show y'all the bag. Sorry, I'm zooming in too far, y'all. I wanted to show y'all the bag I'm putting them in. I got me a little poly bag that I make in the house. Now, I know this ain't breathable, but once I get it in the house and I seal it up, I'm going to poke some holes in the top of it for air. So we ain't got to worry about it. Now, something else I'm going to show y'all I do is I put a little bit of shredded cardboard in the bottom of the bag here to absorb any excess moisture that the worms may have. All right, so I do that. Let me get this over here. All right. I don't know if I can do this one-handed, y'all. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pause it here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over here and get these. Well, I might can do it. Let me see if I can do it one-handed. I don't know if I can or not. Let's see. I don't want to make a mess. Let's see if I can get them in there, y'all. Ooh! Oh, I did it, y'all. I did it! I did it, y'all! Without even making a mess. Get that last worm in there. All right. Now, while I'm over here, I got my hands all dirty, y'all. Y'all, hang with me. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, sorry if I'm losing anybody. All right. I'm going to pause it real quick so I can take the lid off without getting worms all over this lid and container. Hold on 1 second, y'all. All right, y'all. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging tight. I finally got the lid off. All right, now as you can see, we need to re-tear the weight. So make sure we get this right. All right, we got the weight zeroed out, as you can see. Well, oh, I'll zoom in way too far. So y'all can see we got the weight teared out and zeroed out. Now, this one's a 1/4 pound, so we need to add a 1/4 pound of worms to this order. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, to get a 1/4 pound, we need the scale to say 4. And it says 2.9 at the moment. But remember, I always weigh it over. So we're going to probably go to 4.1 or 4.2. Oh, that's way over. I can't go that far over. I'm giving away too many worms that way. All right, we got 4.7. Oh, y'all see how this thing, y'all see how this is? 4.3. That's pretty close. Let's take a few worms out. 4.1. Come on, put a few more back in there. Come on. 4.2. All right. See, a 1/4 pound. Okay, let me zoom in. A 1/4 pound is 4 ounces. Because a 1/2 pound's 8 ounces. And a whole pound, 16 ounces. So anyways, this order's for a 1/4 pound. And I weigh it over by at least, when I do the 1/4 pounds, I usually weigh them over by 2/10 of an ounce. Or, yeah, I think that's what, yeah, that's right. So, yeah. So I always weigh them a little heavy to make sure the customer gets all the worms they're paying for. Because as you can see, there is just a little bit of bedding and castings left with the worms. So you always got to weigh over to make sure everybody's getting what they pay for. But now that I got the worms in the cup and I got the worms in the bag, I'm going to bring them over here to my mushroom compost. Let me get the excess worms off my hand, y'all. I bring them over here to my mushroom compost. And I top it off. All right, let me zoom in so y'all can see what I'm doing here. Now, this is the mushroom compost, all right? I know it's dry. It looks really dry. That's what I got right there. That's the mushroom compost that I get from the Lowe's home improvement store. Ain't but about $4 a bag. I think it's $3.98 is what I paid for that. All right. Now, let me dig some around in here. All right, and I just top now in the bottom of the shredded cardboard, and I put the wet worms. The worms, obviously they're wet. I put them on top, and then I top it off with just a little bit of mushroom compost like that right there. Now I don't want to pack it in. I'm just leveling it out so the lid will fit snug down. But I leave a little bit of space there. You don't want to, you don't want to pack it in now. You just drop it in like that right there. All right, just drop it in like that right there. Maybe wiggle it a little bit, and that's all you want to do. You don't want to compress it. You don't want to make it too tight. I want it. That's another reason why I put the cardboard in there. It makes it a little bit fluffy, a little bit airy. Gives the some air pockets for the worms so they can breathe, and it gives them room to move around. Plus, if y'all look, there's air holes punctured in the top of these lids. Let me get this. there's air holes punctured in the top of these lids for air circulation. And you don't want to get the mushroom compost packed too tight up to the top, and then it might clog up these holes and there won't no air come through, y'all. So you want to make sure you leave enough room for your worms to breathe. All right, let me get this over here without dropping them. All right. Now, same kind of idea with these. Let me zoom in so you can see what's going on. I got the shredded cardboard in there, and I got the worms. All right, I already put a pound of worms in there. And now I come over here and I grab, usually for a pound of worms, what I do is I just get a nice heaping handful of mushroom compost, like that right there. And that's about all you need. About that right there, like that. Just a little bit. I might just get just a little bit more. I'm going to toss just a little bit more in there. Just a little bit, there. And that's all you need, y'all. That's it. You got a little bit of cardboard in there. You got your 1 pound of worms, and then you get you a good heaping handful. For every pound of worms, I like a good heaping handful. Now, and I made this bag big enough that there'll be a nice air pocket in it. And plus, after I seal it up, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to poke some holes in it, like the lid of that container over there for the quarter pound order. I'm going to poke some holes in the top of this bag. Just a few, along the top so air can circulate in and out as it goes through the mail. But y'all, that's how we do it here at Worm Wizard Castings. This is where the magic happens, and this is how I fill my worm orders. If you got anything out of this video, y'all, I sure would appreciate that thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments if I'm crazy or if you like what I'm doing. Maybe share it with a friend. If you hadn't already, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. I sure would appreciate that support. Y'all, when we get to 2,500 subscribers, I'm having a silver giveaway, and I'm giving away 2 American Silver Eagles. And every week I give away 2 silver dimes. All right, I give away 1 to a random commenter, and then I give away another one during our egg extravaganza video. In that video, all you got to do is count the number of eggs I collect and put it down in the comments. And if you get the right number counted and guessed down in the comments, that gets you put on the wheel of names for another chance to win a 90% silver dime. And guess what? I announced the winners to the silver dime giveaways on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time during our live that I do on Saturdays. And if you come to the Saturday live, I just started doing an end of stream giveaway. So at the end of the live stream on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I give away another 90% silver dime for anybody who hangs out with us all the way to the end. So y'all, I'm giving away 3 90% silver dimes every week. 1 to a random commenter, 1 to a person that comments on the egg extravaganza video and gets the number of eggs counted right, and they get put on the wheel of names when everybody else gets the right number of eggs counted. And then I give away another one at the end of stream giveaway on our live that we do at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturdays. I know, that was a lot of talking, but hey, now I need to get these wormies back in their home. I'm going to take them back over there and put them back in one of the hungry bins, and I'm going to get this bedding back in there. Y'all, like I say, if you got anything out of this video, I sure would appreciate that thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithm thingamaboober tell other folks they might like it. Share it with a friend or share on one of your other social media platforms. That really does help, y'all. And please, if you hadn't already, consider subscribing to the channel. I sure would appreciate it. All right, y'all. Well, enough yapping. I'm going to let y'all go. If you made it this far, y'all, you already know it. I appreciate it. God bless y'all. And y'all, come on back now. You hear?